What would it take to build the ultimate designer's desk? From scratch, built, not bought. I guess some of it was bought. I didn't make the steel again. In this video, you're gonna see what went right, what went wrong, mainly the welding. That went really wrong. And everything you might wanna know before building your own. I'll show you everything I did in probably a smidgy bit too much detail, but I like detailed videos. You're not the boss of me. We do some terrible welding. We drill some stuff, we 3D scan and then model some things, and then we go and 3D print it out. Lots of 3D printing. You can watch me sand and paint and almost chop my fingers off with the router. We rub some stuff, we paint some stuff, and then I make a custom keyboard. Would you just get started? All right, let's go. So this is what I have now for a desk, but I get a sore back from working at it. Mainly because I have to turn to the left all day. It's kind of hurting my back. This current desk, I made it a super long time ago. Check out my check out my tiny shed. But yeah, anyway, I made it, but now it's time for an upgrade, something new. So I did some searching on the internet for like the right angles and heights. I measured my own setup with like some super scientific measuring. So it's about 90 centimeters, 35 inches away from the screen, when the internet says it should be closer to about 60 centimeters or 23 inches. Too far away. Science, people. All right, to get started, I like to start with a mood board. I use Canva here. Canva's super good for this kind of whiteboarding type experience. If you do want to learn a bit of Canva, I've got a course on it. There'll be a link in the description. I really like this. This is what I want to do. Kind of a wood and dark steely look. You see it's kind of similar, and I spent ages looking at the tables here, and I think this is what I'm going to do. Some sort of like, I like this plywood edging here. It's something that I could probably make. Quite like the contrast of wood and steel, so that's going to be my plan, I think. Then I like to switch to paper and kind of just start sketching a bunch of things out, which you can't see here in the video. Good work, Dan. They're really rough, and I don't know, there's a good few pages of them. Now I'm just gonna lay out, the pages that are the kind of rough sketches and start making something a bit nicer. Often kind of just end up working from these drawings. Kind of go in with pencil and then, I don't know, color it in. Adult coloring. There you go. I'll kind of change it as I go, but I don't know. This is, I'll work from this, I guess. And see this kind of design on the top of the desk there? I stole this from my Illustrator Essentials course. We've got this paper cut effect thing where we kind of just go through and, I don't know, use Illustrator to make this kind of cool 3D paper cutty effect. What I want to do is like take the exact same thing, but like turn it into a bit more monochromatic. Looking for like a dark kind of, I don't know, layered type thing. Not super obvious, but I don't know, kind of cool if you look. So I'm just going to send the file out to this. I found this company called Pixel Art Printing. They're going to go print it onto I found some like aluminium backed plastic, kind of mainly for signs. And we'll see how that turns out later. The next step in my process is often I do like a quick measure up of my space and then kind of turn it into a super quick model in Fusion 360. You can see here, I've included my eyeballs to make sure I get the angles right on the two screens. Would you finally make something, Dan? Okay, so I've ordered a couple of sheets of 18mm ply. It's like 3/4 plywood. And I'm gonna chop it up using one of my favorite tools in the workshop, this track saw here. If you do have any interest in some of the tools that I'm using, check out, there'll be a link in the description. I'll list out all the tools I'm using there if you're interested. If it's not listed, drop me a comment and I'll add it to it. I don't know. I love seeing what other people use in their shops. And a warning here, if you see me using tools very awkwardly, like a cat wearing socks, it's because I'm very awkward around tools. I'm safe-ish, and I love doing the work, but somehow, whenever I see myself on these videos, I'm like, man, that guy's awkward. Now the table and the sweet clamps. I know, it's meant for steel fabrication, but I end up using it for freaking everything. I love it. You hold things down, you can see that I can kind of like cut through the slots with my sorry thing. It is super useful. Anyway, I couldn't get a sheet of plywood big enough for my whole desk. So I'm gonna have to like join it, which is unfortunate. So I'm going to use these like patch panels underneath with some glue and some brad nails. Ugh, I hope it's going to hold the disc together. I don't want it bending in the middle. Also, remember the kind of cool edging from, from the Canva model? I want to kind of fake that. So I'm just going to cut these strips here for the edges. Otherwise, I think the desk is going to be way too heavy. It'll be strong with 3 sheets of 18mm ply, but nah, man, way too heavy for me to move around. It's a little hard to see in this drawing here, but see there, that's where I want some like USB ports. I want like the old style and the new style kind of on the edge of the table. So I figured it would be easier just to kind of like notch it out before I glue the edging together. It wasn't. I've only used the chisel once before, and if anybody's used the chisel before, you'll notice. But to get good at something, I guess you've got to do it more than once. Little taps. There you go, I kind of like clamp them together, and that's my plan, to kind of like sneak them in here. Oh, satisfying clunk. Trouble is like, which way do these go up? Anybody know the OG USB direction? Anyway, yeah, I guess start gluing them. Ended up using PVA and a whole bunch of nails because it's got this like weird black kind of coating on it. The PVA didn't stick at all, so basically the brad nails are holding it all together. But anyway, it works. All right, so I stuck 3 of them together. 3 is too many. I wanted like 3 levels, but I forgot I'm gonna need the top as well, which makes up another level. So I only need 2, and then I'll connect it to the top, which will make 3. You got what I mean? Anyway, pull them apart and start gluing 2s together. And after these little patch panels connecting the 2 bits of wood have dried, I've worked out it is way too floppy still. So I'm going to use these bits of angle iron to kind of like, I don't know, use it like a brace across it. And what I'm going to do here is show you how to how to sneak up on angle iron and just give it a little rub with the grinder, because I am scared of tools. Here we go. Let's get into it, Dan. Now, how many screws it needed were not dictated by how many it needed, but by how many I had left of the right size. There you go. That's many I'll use. I'll do some super easy math on this comically sized calculator, because my brain don't work good with numbers. Scribe a few lines, punch a bunch of centers, then get to work with all of the drilling. This is Sir Drills a Lot. He is handy for doing lots of repetitive drilling. I'm holding it here in a mag vise. It's amazing. Instead of trying to like hold it down some other way with clamps and clips and stuff and then have it anyway fly around trying to saw you in half. The kind of mag vise is awesome. Just kind of like lock it down wherever you need it to be, and you can just start drilling. And now we're going to decide how much of this drilling I show you. There's a lot of drilling, and I squirt a little bit of like cutting fluid. Let me know in the comments. Is this necessary? I saw somebody do it, so I had like cutting fluid to it. It's just mild steel. It's not very thick, but nah, I do it. So if it wasn't clear before, that's what I'm using it for, this angle iron, just to kind of run down the centers of both these long runs of plywood, just so they don't bow or bend, or just to give them a little bit of strength. I don't know, hopefully it works. And when you've finished anything in the workshop, if you kind of like look down at it and close one eye, you can like makes it look like you've done something straight, even though this is not straight. Now I'm just going to give the steel a little bit of a paint. I'm going to clean it up first with a little bit of acetone, which is, I don't know, a bit hardcore, but just kind of cleaning it off a bit. They are very dirty, been lying around the garage for a long time. Ew. Dirty stuff. Then I'm going to hang them up and give them a paint. It's a black, so they kind of hide underneath the desk. Nothing fancy. This stuff is Rust-Oleum's like painter's touch. It's just a general purpose acrylic enamel, but it may never ever dry because it's about 2 degrees Celsius here in Garageland. It's about 36 degrees in real money. They may never dry. All right, so maybe the edges I was kind of sticking together and I put 3 instead of 2. This is me kind of attaching it to the thing and getting a super duper awesome close up of my 45-degree angle. So out of focus, come on, Dan. But it's kind of like White Moist Nightmare trying to do 45 degrees, but this, that Fistal miter saw, oh, look how good it is. Bit of sanding, that'll be great. Now I've got layers of 3. You get what I meant? And because the PVA wasn't gluing at all, I'm going to try some super glue. It's kind of like miter glue. You can put a super glue and you put like a little spray activator on it. Hopefully this will hold in. It's not just the brad nails, but it's not doing a whole lot anyway. Let's give it a go. If you put on the corners though, especially on the fresh kind of cut wood, that is good. And you kind of spray the activator on one side, the glue, which is basically just super glue, on the other side, and then be very quick. Be very quick. Oh, fast mode quick. Some brad nails, and hopefully that holds. It will. It's not doing anything, remember? It's just kind of underneath. But the brad nailer did not put them all the way in. I wasn't really watching the settings. I was kind of happily nailing away. So then afterwards, I got a punch, just kind of like stomp them in. Now, to own a garage, is it to be a hoarder? Are there garage owners that aren't hoarders? Look at this. Those are my stacks of hoarded wood. They're all offcuts from this fence. This is my front lawn. I kind of made this cedar fence during COVID. It was my COVID project. That was the original wall. It was there. I kind of built up the posts and then kind of put some steel in and added lots and lots of individual cedar slats. It took forever. But I've got all these leftover slats. So I want to do like a little mini wall on my desk. Same kind of spacing type thing. I'll build this like little wooden frame behind it here, just to kind of like be able to stick them up and keep it light. So yeah, mini fence at the back. I'm not sure how it's going to look, but we'll give it a go. I'm not sure how I'm going to connect it though. How am I going to connect this to the bottom? I want it kind of raised off, and I didn't run that edging around. So I was going to use something like this, just connect that to that, and maybe just cut it into smaller pieces and use maybe pocket hole drill things to connect it to the top. So I need the pocket hole drill thing. It's up in my stack of ultra named. Does anybody have this kind of nerdy garage? Look, pause it and check out what Dan names. He names is everything. Look, there it is. Pocket hole. And the first cut. Guess what? Cut a freaking nail. There we go. It's got a laser, look. Didn't spot the nail though. It was kind of hiding under this goop on the other side from another project. There you go. Nail. How bad can it be? This bad. Like this is the cut that I was just doing. And look, I gave it another cut. Look what it's done. Oh. So anyway. So I've got a new blade, luckily. And I've set up this jig, which I don't know. I'm excited when I get to make a tiny jig. This is a really simple jig. See the little clamp bit of wood? Means I can just scoot the wood along and then cut out another little chunk. I love doing this. I think I like doing jobs with lots of repetitive stuff, kind of like the Photoshop work that I like doing, like retouching. It's like therapy. And you make sure you turn the camera off just when you start doing some super dodgy cutting. There you go. All right, so this is my plan. Take the lump of wood, cut some pocket holes in it. This seems like not a great way to do it. I'd be interested to hear what everybody else thinks. It's like I'm a video editor and not a cameraman. Look, holy smoke. In and out of focus, back and forth. Da -da -da. Now, if you haven't used a pocket hole screw thing, super cool. You can kind of like take something like this where it's either a, you know, screw all the way through the bit of timber to the back, or you can kind of just cut the corner. I love it. I know there's lots of people who don't like it. They're like, I don't know, it's like lens flares or Comic Sans. You either like it or you don't. I love it. I don't really care. It kind of works, but eh. There you go. So you can kind of go in from the side and kind of connect it to flats. I love it. You do use their special screws though, and they're not super expensive, but they're not just like regular screws either. They got kind of a nice flat on them. I guess you could find other ones. I'm sure people do. I just don't use it enough. I just buy the Craig ones. This one here that you're looking at is just a test piece. I want to do some science. Like, I've cut all the pieces first, and now I'm going to see whether it'll hold strong enough. It's attached. Bit of science. You ready?
Seems steady enough.
Oh, math. Calculations.
Ah, it's still on there.
That'll do. There's probably a million other ways to do this. If you're a woodworker, let me know in the comments. I end up doing pocket holes for lots of things where, I don't know. Feels very leveraged, but sturdy enough. Now, even though I said earlier on that the PVA didn't hold, I don't know why. I decided to use it again. But I've got some screws as well. So it's another one of those cases where I love this table. This one as well, this clamp, it's adjustable. It kind of goes in and out and down. Great clamp. But yeah, it's just super handy with all the holes everywhere. And yeah. Now I get to screw this in, and I'll put enough of them in there so it should hold the weight. All right, so now I've got all of these like offcuts from the fence, and now I'm going to trim them all up so they're the same size, because at the moment they're all kind of like random lengths, all roughly the same. So yeah. Now I lined them all up on the bench, and I was like, I'm gonna line them up, it's gonna make video magic. Gave up instantly, just throwing them all in a nice big pile. Really gave up. But don't worry, time lapse for you. I cut them all the right, so they're all the same size. Lots of trimming, but the best bit is that if you've ever cut cedar, oh, it smells so good. Problem now though is now they're all cut, I didn't do it very well. They all kind of like tore out. Is that what it's called at the other end? You know, you can see all the bits hanging off. I'm not sure how to get rid of that. Let me know in the comments if you know how to like get rid of, I don't know. I'm going to do it the long way. I'm going to try and sand every single piece. Blurry mode. We're back. You can see it there. All right. I'm going to show you my cool little trick. I should have no tear out, but if you do, and you have to do 1,000 little pieces, you grab your palm sander, you stick it in a vise, and you hold it upside down. I'm a genius. Took forever, but yep, I kind of cleaned them up all right and kept a nice sharp edge-ish. What you might not notice is that my, can you see them moving? This took me forever to work out, but don't worry, I've got a clamp to fix it. Oh, look how good this clamp is. Goes into the holes, but it's also a vice grippy type thing. And there you go. I wanted an excuse to show you all my clamps. I used to mock my dad as a kid or a teenager, even in my 20s. I don't know what happened in my 30s and 40s, but clamps became an exciting part of life. Look, from both angles. Heaps of these clamps have been only used once. They seemed good, but anyway, clamp life. All right, so I got to drill some holes top and bottom of the cedar posts. Put the screw in and then instantly turn it the wrong way. Does anybody else have a drill press and turn the chuck the wrong way every single time? I don't know, can't stop it. The one thing though is this vise. I mentioned it before, but like instead of it spinning around trying to like chop your hands off, you can kind of get it to where you need it to be. You pull that down and look at this. The thing is rock solid. You can't pull that off. No way. It is awesome. Yeah, let's drill it out. The cool thing about this setup is I can just flip it completely upside down, drill at the other, flip it upside down, drill at the other side, and it should be the exact kind of distance over. There you go. That is a terrible drilled hole. Any tips in the comments how to stop the tear up from this as well? Look at it, so bad.
Clean it up a little bit.
Don't worry, I'll fix it with a chamfer. Not fixed. Oh. Sometimes you're like, I am so good at this, and then sometimes you end up with that poops. All right, step and repeat that terrible screw hole for 1 bazillion times. There we go. All right, now I need to kind of make the backing frame for these things to screw to, and I'm going to use a tool, this big giant straight edge. It's meant to be used for welding. I'm using it for something very rarely use it actually for welding, but it's a great straight edge, super heavy. So back to the screw drawer. I'm going to use these 40mm black screws. I love them, just they look cool. Yeah, I'm going to use a couple of these to hold it in, and hopefully if there's enough of these, it'll hold the backing up. But that is a big old guess. Cool tiny clamp alert, ready? Clamp life. All right, let's do this over and over again. It's much more satisfying watching this in fast forward mode. Now it's actually satisfied doing. I told you about the step and repeating, like the same thing over and over again. And I don't know, drilling in stuff is great. This is the problem with being a designer on a computer all the time. Any sort of like physical activity, you're like, ooh, get to use my hands. So the plan here is to kind of just connect them all up with a couple of lengths. I'm going to use PVA because this should actually hold when it's cedar to cedar. And I'll use a little paintbrush to mop it out. And check out the little squidgy thing, the PVA dispenser. It's called GlueMate. I'm looking at the video as you're watching it. I went to the US and actually when I was there got it special because I've seen it in other people's videos. Now I'm going to use brad nails and hold my breath the whole time watching this video because it looks like I'm about to, I know I didn't stab one of my fingers, but it looks like I'm about to in the video anyway. More brushing and gluing. It's very satisfying. My only problem with this gun is that I run out of staples. Still sounds like it's firing, even though it's got a nice red kind of a mark there, but I don't know, always get about 10 holes through it before I actually realize there's no more staples in it. I'm just making little holes that look like staples. All right, so this is the backing pieces, at least the frame. Now I've got to attach all of the little cedar wood blocks. Next, I'm going to try and get these first two pieces to be 45. This is the kind of finished result. I'll show you how I did it. Just want to come jammed in the corner there. So how do I do this? Found a bit of scrap wood, okay, traced it out. And then figured out my miter saw goes on a angle, 45 degrees maybe. It feels a little sketchy, but How are we going to do it with these tiny little pieces, you may ask, okay, without chopping my fingers off? The plan is to stick it to the big black bit of wood and use these Forstner bits. I love these things. These, I don't know, these were refined a couple of years ago instead of using hole saws. Okay, these are Festool Forstner bits. And yeah, you can just stick them in, like a little point in the middle, and then you just lean on them and watch the chips fly. Look, so satisfying. Give them a little jiggle. A little sketchy. They just need to be deep enough that I can pry the bit of cedar off afterwards. Can you kind of see what I'm going to do? A couple of brad nails from behind or underneath. Don't shoot my finger. So you can't see them on the front at least. There'll be holes in the back. And it's now attached to this board, and hopefully nothing will fly out and kill me. Got my Darth Vader mask on. I don't trust myself at all. This could be the end of my dazzling good looks. See what I'm going to do? I'm going to try and trim that 45 on. Again, if you are a woodworker shaking your head and you're like, why didn't you do it that way? Let me know. This is the way I'm doing it. Hold my breath. Oh. It freaking worked. I'm so happy.
Now, will it come
This bit need to work, otherwise it's attached permanently to this board. Come on.
Hello.
I'm doing it. I'm a woodworker. Oh, and the nails even stuck to the bottom. Oh, all right. I'm going to get the nails off because I got another piece to do. But that worked. I don't know. Sometimes I surprise myself at my genius, and then other times I drill really scabby holes in the cedar wood. All right, you can see these go in the corner, and I'm using a thin bit of timber at the bottom to kind of space it off. I want them to kind of like flying. They're not touching the desk. And we start the time lapse of watching, holding my breath as Dan looks like he's gonna brad nail his fingers. There you go, pull the little bit from underneath and ta-da! We've got a flying tiny fence. Love the colors of cedar, so cool. There's an oil on them I've put on it. It's a Ottawa textural. It's just an oil that gives them that lovely rich color. And because I'm clever, if I don't say so myself, I made them in two pieces so that I can disconnect them from each other and from the desk so that it's not too heavy and I can actually maneuver this thing up the up the stairs to my office. All right, so I need to make a footrest and work out the height of the desk. So that's my footrest. That's my test footrest. Okay, kind of the right angles. And now I need to work on the height. So I need my elbows kind of like at right angles. So it's kind of too high sitting up at my current desk. So yeah, I need to measure how high this is and kind of make it a little bit shorter. Actually, I'm going to use my handy dandy Figma, no, it is Canva file, okay, and I'm going to base all of my science from one image that I found on the internet. There you go. Should be that high in those angles. Who knows? I like to build like a little mock-up rather than just trusting it, okay, building out of weird stuff that I've got lying around the garage. I think my knees are meant to be at like a right angle with the footrest, so I'll work on that and do some practice typing. Typey type. Instantly, it's too low. I can feel it. My arms are not at right angles. Yeah.
Just a little bit higher.
So I'm going to use little bits of wood. You might be thinking, why doesn't he just buy one of those electronic lifty uppy desk things? And why does he sing? He can't sing, but he sings all the time. I do. Seriously though, when was the last time your uppy downy desk went uppy downy? Let me know in the comments. Be honest. I'll be checking. It's just a city downy, isn't it? And bing bong, guess what? The steel has arrived. Delivery, I've kind of cut most of it in half already. Comes in these huge lengths. And I really need my desk back. Okay, not the desk, I need the table back. Get the desk off it onto its own weight. So let's make some legs out of steel. Using a bandsaw. I love this thing, it's so good. I could use a grinder to cut everything, but A, I'm terrible with a grinder and nothing will be straight. But B, I like to work late at night when the kids have gone to bed and my wife's gone to bed, and I will be in big trouble if I wake her up. So I can't use a grinder to cut steel. So this thing here is quiet and just kind of like chugs along. It's slow, and what I really like about it is that it's really precise. Okay, I can move it back and forth like this, line it up, and then just let it do its job, and I can be doing something else. I should be watching it, okay? And I know it's done when the huge bit of steel falls on the ground and it almost chops my toes off. Which then reminds me, I've got steel cut boots that I should be wearing when I'm working with steel. Safety first, everybody. And Merry Christmas. You're a dog, Dan. Get on with the steel cutting, Mr. Man. All right, so I cut all the steel legs to the right sizes. They're not all the same height because there's some pads underneath that I use for the bracing. One needs to be shorter. I just got to tidy them all up. Bit of grinding therapy, rub it back and forth on all the pieces. Then I switched to this thing here. It's a strip, what's it called? Strip disc. I don't know, there's probably plenty of names for it. It's like non-woven woolly scourer thing, but it goes on your grinder. It's super good. I want to remove this mill scale here. There's some, I don't know, it's mill scale. I don't want it showing through as much on my kind of finished legs, so I am going to spend way too long trying to get this on. Please hold. Come on, Dan. Okay, just kind of takes it's great for getting paint off, and you can see the before and after, kind of a rusty, gross stuff that I know will affect my paint. Now it's just kind of tidy and nice. All right, time for welding, which means I got to put some anti-splatter spray on my metal table, otherwise the slag from the welding ends up sticking itself to the table. Actually using some of these squares for actual welding rather than, I don't know, weights to hold down things as glue dries. This one's cool. Who makes this one? Fireball. Okay, it is a good 45 because you can clamp stuff to it. It's really big, which is really good, rather than like a carpenter's square. Okay, and you can clamp to it because it's really tall. Now I've ground the joints, and I'm going to use some acetone to clean the joints because I want a great weld. Foreshadowing doesn't work. Still bad at this. All right, after a lot of tacking, I need to do the full weld. It's me like practice welding. And I don't know, have a listen. I'll leave this in here because it doesn't go well. Listen. If you're a welder, let me know. What am I doing wrong? The end weld, yeah, more foreshadowing. This doesn't go well. So listen again and let me know in the comments, what am I doing wrong? Yeah, get in here, have a look. I'm embarrassed, I want to cut this out of the video. There you go. A whole bunch of poop just laying on top of the metal, not really in it. Oh. Don't worry, I'm going to play with my settings and just keep going. I'll figure it out. Play with the heat, play with the wire speed. Have a listen now. What do you think? Nope, that didn't fix it. What was going on there? Is it because I'm doing it uphill or down? I tried uphill, then I tried downhill. Maybe that was it. See, this is me going uphill now. I'm thinking, this is what it is. I think everything else I've welded ever in my short welding career has ever been, it's been like flat down. Maybe that's just easier. Because it's not fixing it, look. It's time to call out the big guns. Gotta call Wall. See what my dad is up to. Send him a little video of my weld and say, help. He calls me back like he does. Says, turn up the amps, you idiot. Grind that poop off and start again. So the basic advice was, you're doing every single thing wrong. You need to turn the amps up, you need to turn the wire speed up, and you need to move faster. Okay, that's everything. And he also said, if I'm going to grind them off, that I need a valley to fill. Otherwise, the weld is on top, and I'm going to grind it off, and we're left with nothing again. So I'm going to try and create a valley. I think that's what he called it anyway. So anyway, I'm going to put chamfers on all these. I've cut a few of them apart, and I'm going to see if I can like cut the tacks off, and I can see if I can like make some valleys on this. All right, let's give that a go. And that's what ended up. I hope that's right. Is that a valley? I don't know. More amps. Crank up the amps, and I wish I recorded all the other settings I had when it was going badly. Like this, is this cranking up the amps? Is this cranking up the wire speed? I don't know. Because guess what? It doesn't freaking work. Oh. This is the worst one ever. Watch this. Side view. Don't show them the side view. Oh. Oh, I tried again. Nope, still not working. Grinded it all off and figured I'd try something else. Maybe I am just like a, I don't know, from the top sky welder. So that's what I did, kind of flipped it over and did it from the top. Because that's, I guess, I've only worked this out now that I'm like, actually, I've only ever done welding like this. And it came out much better. Finally. Okay, it's still not great. There's no prizes here, but at least there's not that big goopy blob stuff that was on the last one. And slowly but surely I adjusted some things and things got better. Enough that I feel like I could maybe at least sit on the edge of my desk without it collapsing. What do you think? Still looking for tips in the comments. Help Dan be a better welder. Sky welder. And yeah, there you go. It looks like a weld. It looks like it's grabbed both sides. That's the settings I had when I'm kind of doing my sky welding. That seemed to come out a lot better. Is it just because I'm over the top? Tell me what's wrong. Got to do this one at the back as well. So I've done the two kind of big square ones. Now I need to do this one. So I've tacked it together. I'm going to do my sky welding. Now I stitch weld this one. I think that's what it's called. Good one. Good one. Don't look at that one. Good one. So at least there's a lot of material here now. So I understand the valley concept. So I'm going to grind them down nice and flat so that it's kind of the look I wanted, right? I'm using this. This was cool. It's like a little mini sander from Makino. What's the red one? The red one is Morky. Okay, and you can add different, it's like little sandpaper discs. And you can kind of get it down to something looking nice-ish. Do 1,000 welds. The last 4 are okay. It's got to make some holes to drill this. I need to connect it to the desk, obviously. Center punch for my very blunt drill. Boop. Add some oil. Something very weird about that. And yeah, just kind of lean on it. I bludgeoned the holes through. No actual drilling here. This is me just like pushing as hard in it, nearly catching fire. Then a wee little chamfer everything. Not needed, but I don't know, makes me feel professional. Bolts fit, phew. All right, so now I've got to attach it to the underside of the table, just using the holes from the steel as a guide, drill them out. All right, now it's time to cut a hole in it. Can you see there that bottom monitor actually kind of just pokes through the bottom? I want it to be recessed in. It's that guy there. He's going to be my monitor at the bottom. So somehow I need to cut a hole, which is scary. So I'll cut it digitally, just in Fusion. Okay, cut a hole in that kind of allows it. I kind of measured the monitor up pretty good, so it should be big enough to hold it all. And then I'm just going to measure this. And apply it to the desk and cut that out. Still weirded out by my own eyeballs that I put and decided to put in there anyway. So there you go, mapped it out on the desk. I'll drill some holes on my wobbly setup. Come on, Dan, here you go. Again, this is the Forstner bit. You got to kind of wiggle it back and forth on this plywood because there's like, I don't know, levels of glue, different types of wood. Normal timber just burns through. And what I'm going to try and do is, see how it's kind of raised off the desk? I'm going to do that so I don't go all the way through and blunt my tool by hitting the steel underneath. Definitely won't do that. I couldn't believe it. Instead of fixing that problem though, guess what? I'll just not push as hard. Let's do that. A little bit more. Don't go all the way through, and not thumbs up. You hit the bloody metal disc. Right, so what I'm going to do here is I've drilled those holes, and now I need to connect those holes with the track saw. So there's a lot of just like a little bit down, how far I'm in, a little bit down even further, jiggling it around, looking closely, and try not to cut any more than I need to. Let's see if I can drill these 2 holes together. All right, came out pretty good. I like it. Cutting holes and stuff that I've spent ages making is tricky. And then I wasn't sure what to do with these end pieces. Obviously the track saw was too big, so I was like, oh, I'll get the jigsaw, run it along here. This would be great. I hate this jigsaw so much. It's one of the D-handle ones. No, I want the D-handle ones. This one, you gotta hold the whole thing. It's hard to turn off. Even worse, running it along the edge here. Look, I don't know. It seemed like I was doing it right, but it just kind of wandered. I think it's the blade. So I went and changed the blade. And you can see in fast mode, see the track move. I didn't notice that in real life. But anyway, it is better. Definitely the blade was better. I just end up kind of like jiggling it back and forth. It's passable. There you go. Straight enough. So much so that I might as well not even use the track saw. I'm just going to freehand the next one. Come on, Dan. Don't be a wuss. You can get it going. You got to hold it like this. And then in the end, when you're finished, you got to try and turn it off because there's no trigger. All right, that one came out better. And this is where I got really excited. I've had this thing on the wall for about a year. I saw some YouTuber have it. It's a Japanese pull saw. Look at me. It's the first time being used. Except, does it count as being used if the job you were using it for you gave up on and used another tool? Stupid thing. Kind of gave up and just went back to the jigsaw. Back to the wall you go, my friend. Came out all right. It's a good enough hole. Now I'm going to actually see if the monitor fits. And I've added a little bit of wood to do some visualization. That's a word. That's the angle I want it to be at. This is the idea, kind of like something to catch it and then some sort of adjustable thing so I can kind of move it back and forth. So I'm going to have to kind of avoid, there's a bunch of USB ports in there. Can you see them? I'm going to try and scan this. So this is a 3D scan of my Datsun. I'm going to try and scan the screen so that I can build the little stand for it. I use this kind of like, you can't scan dark stuff. So I use this eSub stuff, kind of makes it white so that the scanner can pick it up. The cool thing about it is that when you're finished, the white stuff disappears. I don't know where it goes, just, oh, I know, sublimates. It's a lovely word. Still didn't work. I keep losing tracking, wasn't great. So I'll use these little dots here. Okay, this is kind of like the last resort, only because they take ages to put on and take off. These little shiny dots here help the tracking immensely. The dots worked. And you can see here, it's like a bazillion little dots if you zoom right in. But yeah, I got the basics of the shape in there. It'll work. Now, to get it into the computer, okay, off this, and then use this Einstar tool, desktop app, just to kind of bring it in, okay, and get it ready for the right file type for Fusion 360. See my model? It's bad, man. There's a hole in the bottom, that's okay. Now, Star Vision just exports. It's great. You can just export an OBJ, which has the texture and all the information I need into Fusion 360. I like Fusion 360. It's free. Okay, there's a hobby version, which is really cool. Okay, so you can import the model. There's a bit of mucking around to get it kind of on the flats, kind of comes at a weird angle. But yeah, you can create a plane, and then what I'm going to do is just start work off that kind of like top of the desk, and then build my little stand that I showed you the drawing of. Fire it over to the 3D printer. I got a couple. This one's great. And this is the Prusa XL, a ginormous one. So I printed 2 of them. Yeah, so these are going to be like the little stands. They might, maybe they don't make sense yet, but it's going to be a bolt at the top that I can use to do some adjustment to get the kind of angle I want. So I got these kind of like couple of holes so that if that first one doesn't work, I can use the other ones. And when I print the final one, I can get rid of the holes I don't need. And then carefully lay it in there. See if we can get some angles going. You can see it's already bending there. It's very tenuous. It's not the word, but you get what I mean. See, the bottom's really bendy, but those are the 2 stoppers I can adjust kind of different places. And according to the calculations from my screenshot from the internet, it should be about 50 degrees. That's what I'm looking for. So I've got it, except these ones are all maxed out. You can see they're all the way back. So I'm going to have to adjust it a little bit in the model, just lean it back a bit, and make that thing less floppy. Look how floppy it is. Added a bit more beef and add a little logo there. Time to spend way too much time picking colors. Yes, I've got a 3D printer problem. Okay, mainly in terms of colors. I picked this. I love it. It's like a matte gray slate thing. It's got such a cool finish with the matte colors. It's PLA, so it'll be strong, and I've beefed it up. All right, so while that's printing, I'm going to work on the fence at the back. We're outside. Looks cool outside, huh? It's offcuts from the last job, so they've been sitting in the garage for ages. They're not very nice, so they need a little bit of love. First bit of love, send it love. Now, to kind of seal it and get back the car, I use this stuff, Ottawald Textrol. It is the stuff left over from the fence, and you can see I use my note there from the fence. And I even spelled summer wrong. Go back, Dan. You kind of leave it on for a little while, rub it off. You don't have to wait till it gets dark. But look at the finish. All right, it's time to get the top on. So I'm going to sand down the edge. Cleaned up nicely. The only trouble though is I've used this, the black stuff that kind of seals in the board. You can see it on the edging there. I don't know. I don't think it matters this much. All right, the sign/tabletop has arrived, but we've got a problem. It doesn't fit. Ugh. I know what I did. I made this top here thinking I was going to trim it down after. I was going to make it bigger, trim it down, and then start putting all this bottom stuff on. I made it bigger, didn't trim it down. So now we're going to have to get creative with especially this part here. I can't remove it. Oh, I could remove it. Oh, could I just trim it down? How much is left? Not much, but maybe enough. Oh, I don't know. All right, so the plan is I am going to push it all the way up against the back because I need that strip for the fence will cover. And just kind of go to the back. I will just trim this side off because there's enough there to trim off. Yeah, there's enough there to trim off. It's not too bad. This side though is the bit that's kind of left hanging. And that's where that goes. And there's just a lot to rebuild on this side because that's where the stand goes. And I kind of want the fence to go to the edge. So I'm going to design something kind of to cover this. I'm going to pretend like I meant to do it. Brr. All right, goodbye, beautiful parts of desk. This kind of section over here is the bit where I'll be sitting. Remember, there's nothing actually under here. That'll be good for another job. Into this squirrel away, never throw anything out pile. All right, before I actually work on the big desk, I'm going to do a little test. See these little rails here in the desk? Okay, I put these in. I made this desk a long time ago, and I put these little rail clamp things. I don't know what they're called, okay, but they're really cool. A little hard one-handed, but you can clip them over, and it just holds things really snugly to the desk. They're cheap, and you can kind of run them inset onto the desk. I love them. So I'm going to do a little test, right? I'm going to use that router and that router just to see what kind of bevel, is that the word? Rounded edge, bullnose? I don't know. I want the edge. I'm not sure which one I want to use. Also want to test whether the glue works. I've kind of glued it down to the desk to a cut off bit of wood, and we're going to see. Also wanted to see whether the top would actually glue to the bottom with spray glue. So I've spray glued it to it and practicing my routering. Whoa. What I've worked out is that if you go from left to right, okay, it can be a little dangerous for some reason. It might chop your fingers off. But if I push this way, I don't know if this is for everybody and every router or just me, if I pull it this way, it seems a lot safer. All right, great news. I still have them on my fingers, and those are the edges. That's the first one's the 14, and this is the 24. I think I like this one better. Just kind of rolls over. This thing is really sharp on its own, so it's quite nice rolled over, and I'll give it a sand. Yeah, hopefully that'll make a nice edge on the desk. What's that? You want to watch me peel the backing off awkwardly because he's got no fingernails? All right, you're welcome. Here you go. This stuff is kind of frustrating. I almost glued the top to it with it on. That could have been bad. And it started off like, oh, this is going to be therapeutic. Okay. And then I was like, man, this is hard. This is going to take forever. It did. It's really hard to do. Eventually I copped on and was like, all right, if I kind of drew a couple of like little slices on it, just lightly, and then it came off in chunks, it was just easier to pull it because that stuff is tough. Now it's time to cover the whole thing. Yeah, just going to spray glue both sides and try and stick it together. That was going well, right up until I started feeling woozy. This stuff is no joke. Anybody, I don't know. I don't think spray glue was that potent, but man, it is. Do the top as well. All right, so now most of my garage floor is covered in spray glue. Now I got to work out a way of kind of like lowering it down without it like attaching. I'm going to use these little blocks that I've got. These are the kind of measuring spacing blocks that I've used before they're meant to be used for welding, but I never use them for welding. But they're really handy for this because they're all the same height. So yeah, just going to kind of spread them over and then see if I can lower the top on and kind of slide them out. That's the goal anyway. All right. One shot. Mum spaghetti. Let's go. Oh, jeez. All right. Holding my breath even watching this. Kind of like a jiggle and a wriggle. Then start just taking them out and hopefully it'll kind of line up and start, I don't know, bonding forever. Then put on rubber gloves, which I should have done right at the beginning. But I don't know, better late than never because my hands are covered in, it's like the reverse. My hands are covered in spray glue, so I am going to put them on the inside of a glove so it doesn't get anywhere. Oh, all the sense. Clamp time as well. Ooh. What I should have done here is put something soft underneath the clamps. Luckily, there was nothing on the table afterwards, but watching this now, I'm like, why didn't you put something underneath? Now it's time to like clamp down the middle. So that's my jacket and these legs. These legs that I've welded up, they are heavy. It's kind of perfect for like holding this down. Put a couple of rags down so they don't scratch. And then I'll leave it till tomorrow. Good morning. It is the tomorrow. Time to take clamps off and, I don't know, see if it's stuck. All right, seems it's stuck. And it's about this time that I noticed that I shouldn't have used the clamps straight onto the top of my desktop. But if you rub on it, it magically goes away. It doesn't. But you stop noticing it. To trim the end, I'm going to use my track saw. The favorite thing about my track saw, this, like, slamming the batteries in. I don't know why. I feel like a gunfighter. And safety first, one hand on the track saw, one hand holding up the table so it stops being wobbly. Don't try that at home, kids. Okay, but the track saw almost goes through. There's a little bit in the end. And now, if you are a carpenter, let me know. Does Dan know what he's doing with a saw? Watch. Let me know in the comments. Scale of 1 to 10. The biggest problem is probably how long it takes. I get a little bitter at the end. What I'm really happy with is this edge. Look at that. You can hardly tell. Now it's time to kind of trim off the excess of just the top. Can you see it overlaps there? I'm going to use my router now and my 24 millimeter rounding edge, Darth Vader suit on, and realize a little bit into this that remember, going right to left is bad. You know how I know? Because it jumps again. Watch. Whoop. Bad. That's right. This way is better. So I kind of work my way around very slowly. Okay, got the vacuum hooked up to it so it doesn't fire too many chips everywhere. Yeah. Comes out alright. Gets a little hot and kind of bubbly. It doesn't though. That stuff rubbers off quite easily. But yeah, that's the edge. Work my way around the rest of it. Look mildly constipated during the whole experience. Look at it. The white stance.
It's not perfect.
Yeah, the vacuum kind of work, but look, check this out. With a nice little just dusting off. Oh, I do love that.
That's good.
One side's good. This one is a little bit bad on that side. I kind of wobbled with my stance, my constipation stance, but I think with a little bit of a sand, it'll be good.
That'll do.
Then I've measured underneath to where the hole that I cut out for the monitor is, and I am praying that the measurements are correct and that I can cut a hole from the top, because I can't really flip this thing over. The thing is way too heavy now. And yeah, will he remember? I am he, but will he remember to put something underneath so it doesn't slam into the steel table again? Please hold. Nope. Damn it, the end of that thing's getting a bit mangled.
God damn it.
All right, now I've just got to kind of cut it out. It's quite satisfying doing these. There's already like a router kind of, you know, something for the router to follow. You just got to kind of work your way out till you find the edge. There you go, find the edge, and then just kind of work my way around. Figure out left and right when you're doing a circle. Come on. Left and right, your fingers will be all right. Trying to remember that for myself. Kind of messed up the end there, but we'll just go around a second time and tidy it all up. All right, so I've drilled the holes for the legs from the bottom. Now I've got to somehow I want to recess the screws, but this, can you see, is just going to like bump around in there. So I need to find the center. And I got these things, like center hole punch things. Found one that fits perfectly in the existing drilled hole for the leg. And hopefully I can tap a little hole in it, right in the middle. Boop. There we go, perfect. Love these things. Now I can kind of drill out just the center of this side with the long kind of center drill, then go from the other side, and I want to make a recess for the cap screws. So I don't want to go all the way through. Nice. Oh, kind of nice. Problem is the washer is so close to fitting that. I thought it was perfect, and I don't have a big Forstner bit. So I'm just gonna yank it all the way through. What could go wrong? Always put it on the wrong way. I'm just gonna ratchet it all the way through. There you go, so it's nice and flush. It's kind of pulled itself. Can you see a nice little edge? The washer's kind of pulled it through, and it's definitely not going to cause problems later on. 100% not. And this is the little contraption I made. The cap screw there doesn't have threads all the way down, so I had to kind of like jiggle this thing together just so that I could pull it all the way through. All right, disassembly time. I'm gonna take down my old desk, which is the wrong height, and all the wires everywhere. Yeah, just tidy up time, and I can finally bring the new desk up. My favorite part is going to be removing all these wires. Okay, they just hang on the ground. I really want my robot vac to be able to actually vacuum my office. You can see this, my original desk that I made kind of comes apart. It's lived in lots of different offices over the years. Now I got to convince my wife to lug this thing up the stairs. Success. It's kind of heavy. Now ready for some super sketchy trying to lift it up on my own. Should wait for my wife to get home, but instead, I'm going to throw my back out trying to get it up and on. Screw the legs on for the final time, and I'm doing that kind of like just dragging them through, kind of using a rattle gun to kind of pull the screws through to the bottom. I wanted to see how the fence looked. Even though it's kind of not really time to get them on, I couldn't help it. I really wanted to get the fence on and get a kind of feel for the whole thing. Problem with like trimming the edge off, can you see the edge there? There's one stick that hangs over too far. Yeah. And you can see the holes there that I had to use like a proper rattle gun, like 400 Newton meters of torque got those little bad boys in. And they not even straight. A lot of force. A few more screws to kind of get the back kind of held up nicely. What I really wanted to do is see if I could actually sit in it was the right height. Great success! Now, just slowly get the monitor in, kind of get everything kind of in some sort of rough place before I do the next parts. Now the moment of the truth with the monitor. I put a lot of adjustability in it, luckily, because I spent about an hour adjusting it. This takes forever. I kind of line it up and turn the screws the wrong way and then line it up again and put the screws in too far and then move them up, and it took forever, but eventually we got there. Eventually. Perfect. Perfect enough at least. All right, so now some of the nicer fun things is this is a dock for my laptop. I want to kind of slide it in. I like this company already. I like the warning, do not hit your head, Dan. But look at it. This thing is beautiful. Love the finish on it. It's aluminium. It's very nice. And this is the idea, right? You kind of just slide it on. It sits on top of your desk. You kind of slide it in there. Slide your power cable and all the other cables just into the back there, and you just slide it in and out. Originally I wanted this. I wanted kind of like a gun holster one where it kind of slid down at an angle, but it doesn't really work because it sticks out, and I'll catch it on my leg. I'll show you. So I kind of wanted it like this, but you can see it sticks up too high and will catch on the desk. Okay, I want it flush, so I'm going to do something like maybe bolt it to the leg here and kind of have it just sitting. Can you see here? Can kind of bolt to that leg right there, and I'll still have access to the ports here, but it'll sit nice and flush to the top of the desk, a little bit more, I don't know, nicer. Now it is time to void all of the warranties. Even the sticker that you take the screws out of, it says, if you remove this, you are voiding the warranty. I am so going to void the warranty on this one. And sneakily, look, there's a screw hole underneath this thing you got to pull off to make sure you 100% definitely avoid the warranty. They got me. So what I want to do is see if I can kind of trim that side off completely. That's why I'm putting tape on it, because I want to stick it in the bandsaw. Cool thing about the bandsaw is that it's adjustable. You can actually get quite a big throat on it, so you can kind of cut reasonably wide bits. There you go, and then I run it way too slow. Takes forever, but we eventually get there. Shudug. It is razor sharp along that edge. That's why I put the tape on it, just so that the edge didn't get too damaged or scratched. And I need these like little rubber feet out. And danger! Don't cut towards yourself. Unless you're a professional. So I should not be cutting towards myself. They are glued on, man. They got some serious good glue. There's no match for the heat gun. Just kind of softens the glue. Well, I hope it does. And then back to danger knife. Oh, love it. Hot glue. Very hot. Nice. Same for the other side.
Hot, hot, hot.
A little bit's left in there I'm going to have to try and get out, but first of all, the sharp edge needs to be addressed. It's like a little razor blade on the bit that I cut. There we go. Nice rounded edge. Alright, so I'm going to tape it up just so I don't scratch it up when I'm trying to mark it and drill and stuff. Anyway, that's the idea. Find my corner points. I'm going to use this interesting tool. Have you seen this? So it's got two little bits. Let me just show you. So one of them is a little glass eye thing with a target. So you have a little look in here. And you'll be able to see your crosshairs where you've drawn your pencil mark. You pull that out, put the sharp pokey bit in, and then dook. I don't know, it's precise. I don't know. I spent ages making like crosshairs and then get my hole punch and just miss it. Anyway, I like that thing. All right, so I'm going to use some M5 cap screws because I like them because they look cool. And I need to figure out what hole size to drill, but always, my calipers, always broken or flat. That indicates the battery's flat. So I'm going to replace the battery. Why? Because this thing has no auto shut off. I hate it. Every time I go to use it, it's dead. Let's go again. So it's about a 5.5 millimeter. I can never guess. Like, I know M5 should be a 5mm hole. Only watching this video, I measure it every single time. All right, into the vise and drill press, drill some holes. I put tape on it to protect it from the vise and my own kind of stupidity from scratching it. And you can see here, this is the aluminium. These are the dullest drill pieces ever. Anyway, we got there. All right, can't take it anymore. I'm gonna sharpen some drill bits. I never do this, but I'm gonna pull out my second worst purchase of my garage career, and it is this drill sharpener, the calipers being the first. And I am going to spend ages fiddling around with this thing to have only mildly more sharper drill bits. Oh, if anybody's got any suggestions on like a really good drill sharpener, yes, I should do it on the grinding stone thing, but I don't know. That's in the too hard, only do it once a year type basket. If you've got suggestions, let me know in the comments. Because this thing sucks. All right, back at it, and it's still not very good. It's kind of rubbing its way through. But don't worry, I can make everything look good with one of the better purchases I made. This is a countersink bit, and it will hopefully make it look like the holes weren't melted in with a blunt drill bit. And you'll notice here that there's no like workshop noises for parts of it because I have to mute it because of this thing at the back here. Can you kind of see it just over my shoulder there? That is a giant flamethrower that I use to warm the garage. Give it a listen. It is very loud. Yeah, that's why that's why there's a lot of muting and why I can't hear myself, but at least I'm warm. Anyway, it came out good. Chamfered everything. There's still somehow I've got scratches on it, even though there was a lot of tape. But anyway, they look nice enough to go into service. All right, time to put this mutated laptop dock back together and then kind of screw it to the leg. Probably should make sure it still fits in the dock after its little operation. Kind of line it up and got a marker and just kind of like marked where it needs to be drilled. I'm going to get my hole punch. Oh, what is it called? Whatever the thing you whack to mark a hole in the middle. That thing. And then ready, steady, block your ears. All right, now it's time to use dull drill bits again. See if we can melt our way through some mild steel. Take forever. Look at this. Look at the leverage I'm putting onto it. Poor old drill bit. There we go. Made a hole. It's about this time I kind of step back and go, those things don't look straight. Oh no. Those are straight. That isn't. They're all evenly spaced on this thing. What went wrong? The top two are fine, but the bottom one's way off. Damn it! How is that one there and that one there and that one freaking... Oh. Oh. It was about this time he realized. I see it now. There it is. I didn't hit it. I just found a different thing that looked like a hole instead of drilling through it. There is a perfectly good and in place center punch, just not where I actually drilled it. So here we go. That's the place. Oh, I hate watching myself hit things with hammers. Now, I hope this is the last of the sad smiley faces. But probably not. All right, time to get it back together. Well, together for the first time. Does anybody else think, like, he's using some pretty serious hardware for a little laptop stand? I feel like that too, especially like the ratcheting spanner. I do like it though. It's handy, especially for working underneath a desk. Now's the moment of the truth. Does it fit and does it line up? Thank goodness. No more sad faces. You can see here, I want it to be lined up the top of the desk just a little bit lower so that I could not knock it, but I will also get my SD card in there and use this other USB port here still, plug things in if I need to. The HDMI cable plug thing there's not that useful, but look at that, all lines up. Now I've got to remove this. Okay, it's kind of printed onto there, I think. If I can remove that, we'll be kind of away. Let's both agree, let's nobody mention the hole. Brr.
All right,
let's unbox some stuff. Can't drill bad holes in this, surely. Not reading the instructions, just start sticking it together. It's a cool kind of like swivel arm. And take the backing off this monitor. It's just got like a cool little switch. I like that design. I've got an LG 4K monitor, if anybody's interested. And what I want to do is kind of like mount it off the back here so that I can kind of swivel it out of the way when I'm not using it and out of the camera when I'm filming. That's the kind of idea. So I'm going to kind of just like get it over the edge here. Comes with like a clamp so I can just squeeze it onto the bench, but there's not enough room underneath that backing wood that I put there. So what I'm going to do is take it off and trim a little bit of it. It's behind the monitor, so you're not going to see it, but I'm going to trim just little bits down the bottom here so that the clamp can kind of go in onto my bench. I'm going to use this track saw here. I love this track saw. There you go. And just kind of like trim a little bits off. We're ignoring the smoke. Then I'll use the jigsaw just to kind of tidy the last little bits. I hate this jigsaw. I hate those, like, I don't know, what do you call it? The jigsaw you kind of like, the switch is in a bad place. I want one of the D ones. You see there? I just kind of like lobbed a bit off. It looks kind of neat. I accidentally caught one of the stands and tore a chunk off. Oh well. It's down here. I'm not going to glue it back on. All right, so now I can fit my little monitor. So this is what I was trying to do, right? It fits, but obviously I had to trim the bottom off. So squeeze it in there now, and now it fits. Look at me, I'm a genius. Problem is it kind of hangs out. You can see it doesn't clamp the wood. I can't get it far enough in with that kind of base there. So plan B, how am I going to fix this? Ah, look, read the instructions. It has a base with it. I didn't even pull that out of the box. So you can pull that kind of like clamp off and just use the base. Oh no, another sad face. I'm going to pretend I did it there on purpose, and I guess that's where the cables are now going to run. Oh well. Nice big space for them. I do like this. My favorite thing about this clamp. I'm definitely going to do that. Now to secure this to the base, it kind of sits on the top there, and I've drilled a hole, and there's just a bolt that comes all the way through to the bottom. I'm just going to use the bracket that it came with, tighten it up, and there you go, wing nuts. That was meant to be okay. Go for thumbs up. Look at that. Little pivoting arms. I can kind of line it up and have it there and lift it out of the way when I don't need it. Tilt it to the right angle. I do like this thing. I'll put it in the notes of where to get it from, and they'll be in the description. Yeah, pretty happy. As long as we don't, look at the hole that I cut in the back there. Again, remember, this was always going to be where the cables ran. All right, next up, I've got to get this microphone. Same kind of thing, big pivoting arm. It used to have a clamp on it. Now I need to talk there, and I got my camera there. So I need it kind of somewhere where I can be doing my screencasts and then kind of like push it out of the way so that like, you know, it's not blocking the camera. So I need it kind of somewhere over here somewhere-ish. So you're not going to fool me this time, handy clamp. I'm not going to try and go over from the back for this one. I'm just going to drill a big hole in it. So I need to do some measurements. I'm going to measure this like bushing here in the middle, and I want to kind of design some sort of base to match this, even though nobody's going to see it. So yeah, get the measurements of the inside of this. And then I'm going to decide how thick I want this to be. What I did is I printed off all of these like size guides. It's just lumps of plastic that happen to be, that one's 6 mil. This one is 5 mil. I find it useful, I don't know, I find it tactile to have in front of me when I'm deciding like, is it going to be this thick, this thin? All right, I reckon that's going to work. It's 4 mil. I'm going to match the size of this because that's the kind of nicest hole that I can drill into my table. So I'll make something that slots into the table there. Parts bin for screws and stuff. Screws in the washer to hold it down. Takes the measurements of both the screw and the washer. And then I'm going to start typing it all into the computer. So I start with a kind of a base roughly the same size as the backing camera. This is the tube that I'm going to like stick through the table. So the inside's the size of the microphone that kind of like jams in there, and the outside is the hole that I can drill with my drill bit. And now I'm just kind of, I don't know, doing some filleting and just trying to make it look a little nicer, trying to get some blends going. I'm going to use 4 screws in each corner. Genius. Okay, and get them kind of countersunk, so those black screws with the washer just drop through it. Also throw the Bring Our Laptop logo on there as well. Start the old Prusa printer up and go away while it prints. Magic. I need to get one of those fancy cameras that kind of removes the print head moving around, but it's still magical. Look at that. All right, pull it off the build plate. Now there's a bunch of supports because there's a bit kind of sticking down.
Therapy.
Pulling them off though, it was good fun. I don't know, therapeutic. Like he said. Let's pull all the bottom supports off. Look at that. Print quality is okay. I printed it nice and slowly, but it's got that 3D printed look. I'm okay with that. Now just hopefully that's the right size, so when I drill a hole in the table, it actually slides in. Wish me luck.
All right, about there.
Oh, cross your fingers, people. Let's hope it's not another sad face moment. It's going to be harder to hide the hole right in the middle of the desk. Hooray! Does it fit? Does it fit? Does it fit? Oh, success! I made something. Look at that. Kind of fits in there. Yeah, fits in nice actually. Now it's got to make sure it's actually in there straight. Not straight. Oh, a little bit straighter. All right, so these kind of like self-tapping ones. I'm going to try and get them in. At least the first one needs to be straight.
Straight.
Come on, Dan. that look straight? Does that look straight? Oh, the pressure. Now it's straight.
Way too long getting it straight.
Make sure the drill goes in straight. Drill goes in straight. It's going in crooked. Look how crooked it went in. Oh, it's still kind of satisfying. Get them all in. Now I didn't even check if the microphone fits in there. Ready? Steady. Ugh. Oh. Yes.
Hello.
Mic stand. Look at that. Turns and all. All right, so this is the plan. Will it work? It's kind of hard because it's all spring loaded. I don't know if it's going to reach. Oh, will it work? Perfect. Like that. So that's how I do my courses. This is me doing, hi, my name is Dan Scott. Welcome to Bring Your Own Laptop. There we go. It works. Just. But the thing is, it goes all the way out of the way for the camera. Got the cool Bring Your Own Laptop logo on it. Look. Swiveling. Oh, nice. All right, so now I want a phone charger, and this is one that I've robbed out of my car. I kind of made like a phone charger inside of my car. This is it. I kind of made a center console for it's an old Datsun, and it kind of just slipped in the back here, and it's worked really good. Just plugged into USB, so I can just kind of slip it in there, and it kind of charges my phone. Came out pretty good. I was super happy with it. It's all 3D printed, but kind of there was no center console in it when I got it. So yeah, just kind of pushes in there. So I'm gonna borrow this charger and thing now. I just yanked it out of the car just to kind of prototype this one. I've ordered another puck, charging puck, I'll slip one into that one back into the Datsun, and I've got a new one for the desk coming. So this is the plan. I want to kind of sit it here. I want it off the desk so it's not touching the desk, but I want to still touch things like authentication and check messages and stuff, and all the while it's charging. That's the goal. So I want to be able to grab it out. It's in the car. It's actually easy to pull. I made those little finger holes there. It's easy to pull out. Ooh, ignore the screen. Big old scratch. So I'm going to have to make it easier at this angle to kind of pull on and out easily. Also want to include this thing. It's my like thermometer / humidity. It's always just rolling around on the desk. I want it off the desk, and I don't know, find it useful. So maybe down the bottom here or up the top. I'm not exactly sure where it should go yet, but that's the other thing I want to include. All right, now I've got to figure out how I'm going to connect it to the monitor. So we're going to kind of keep it off the ground. Don't even know if this thing comes apart. It's more warranty voiding. I hope the screen's not glued on. No idea. I'm just going to start pulling screws out until the thing comes apart. I do feel like a monkey with a hammer. Ugh. I know. The way I figure out how to do anything in this world, YouTube videos of other people taking the monitor apart. Here you go, clips out on the sides. Yeah. Oh, that's it. Oh, we're doing it. Mildly scary. Oh. I didn't watch the whole video either. Just enough to get myself into trouble. Jackpot. Haha! There you go. Do you know what? I didn't even know there was speakers in this. There's a pile of them. There's speakers in it. The wrong side though. I need to drill into that side. So I could kind of drill through there. And maybe one up here. Ooh. On. I need this side. Look, loads of room. But it's the wrong side of the monitor, right? So a couple of screws there. And then some epoxy across here, or maybe even just one screw through the top over here. So now I'm going to 3D scan it to get it into the computer. I'm going to add a lot of the dots. Everything's covered in dots. It's pretty monotonous. So lots of dots added, and I'm going to try and scan it. And it just didn't work, wouldn't even start. The dots are not enough and the color, it's flat black, which is like the worst thing for a 3D scan. So I've done a terrible job spraying it with this, what was the word for it? It is called sublimation spray, that's it. Terribly coated, but it seems to work. It picks it up, you know, the white kind of mattness, it likes it. Plus the dots, kind of clean them off from the spray and we seem to be working, getting a scan. Is it a good scan? No, it is pretty terrible. But look, it's picked it up and it's enough that we can put the kind of bracket, something to attach it to there. Here it is inside of the software that's called, what's it called? It's called the, I'm looking at it now, Star Vision. Okay, it's kind of the bit that gets it off the scanner. Then I export it into Fusion 360, the scan, and bring in the model that I made previously for the Datsun. And just kind of flip it and try and get it lined up. And then there's a lot of like adjusting to try and make it fit this kind of new usage. You get to these points where you're like, actually, I should have just remade it. But I plowed on trying to like adjust the old drawing and try and make it work. And yeah, just kind of like smooshed it over so that I could put in my, that's the hole for the temperature sensor. Let me know in the comments. I should do a Fusion 360 course. It's not quite designer, but I know a lot of designers have overlap to this kind of like more tangible 3D modeling printing world. Let me know. There'll be a pre-register. And if I get enough people pre-registering, I'll make a course. This is one of the things that I love about this. I need to put some screws down the side here and they need to not hit the monitor. So I loved kind of like doing stuff with the computer and then being able to go out into the real world and make stuff. So the screws can't be any bigger than like 10 mil. So we're going to go to the mystery box of black screws and yeah, they're all in there. But they look cool. They're dark. All right. I dumped them in this little tray and then play the fishing game of like, all right, find one that you kind of like the size of. Need a bunch of these. Play the mystery, find all of these ones game, not those ones. All right, we're settled on these ones. They seem small enough. These need to go into a bigger one. Now I know what size they need to be. Well, I know what screws I'm going to use, so I can measure them. They need to be about 4 mil holes for them to go through to the plastic. Yeah, and then I can kind of just line them up. I'm going to make this plate super big, so there's a lot of surface area, so I don't know. There might be some leverage on the phone. But there you go, there's my 4 little dots, cut 4 little holes in it, and that's what I'm going to try and screw through to the monitor without hurting anything. Here I'm going through and just filleting all the edges just to make it look pretty. I'm also going to lob the side off that here so that I can get my fingers behind the phone a bit easier. Then you go spend ages on things that nobody's ever going to see. The power cable for the back of the like charging puck. I want cable ties to kind of like make it look nice on the back that I could just tape it. Nobody's going to see this. Yeah, so I'm going to make a circle that the zip tie can fit through, about 3 mils. Make a physical little circle that is 3 mils in diameter, so the zip tie can fit through. Adjust it and then kind of just move it to where I want it to be and would tie the cables up so it's nice and tidy. You see there, like a little semicircle? That's my zip tie holder. I'll make a second one on the other plate so I can get the cable up and out of the way so you can't see it, so it's floating. Chamfer the edges to make it look pretty. Move the thermostat thing over a little bit. Look funny straight over the actual phone. It needs to be in the center. And again, more stuff nobody's ever going to see. It's the Bring Your Laptop logo on the back. And then kind of combine everything and then send it off to the slicer software. I use Prusa Slicer. Figure out a way to print it that's going to look good on the front. And that's it. Let's see how this goes. The cool thing about 3D printing is you kind of set it going and you wake up the next day and all right, it's done. Ugh. Ugh. Perfect. There you go. The bottom piece, yeah, it's not great, but you're not going to see that piece. And all of these bits here are just support so that, because the 3D printer can't print mid-air, so you need stuff to print onto, and you get to pull it off afterwards. And sometimes it pops off easy, like the whole thing just popped off the build plate. And sometimes there's more detailed internal stuff, it's a little harder to get out. But don't worry. Therapy, pulling up the stuff. And before editing this video, I didn't know how much I sung to myself. We call it singing. The little holes, the zip ties there, the logo came out good. This thing here. Why is there a hole here? Hello. Excellent. The new charging puck has arrived, so I'm going to use this one. Little unboxing. It's a beautiful thing. Belkin can make it. It's smaller. Oh man, they made it smaller. Where's my other one? Here's the other one. Look, it's smaller. All right, almost forgot this bad boy. Does he fit? Goes in and does it fit? Oh, satisfying. Oh, that was a great noise. Fits in there nice. Let's see if it actually attaches to the monitor. I already noticed. I scanned it without it being sunken into the disc, so will it still fit? It needs to float. Yeah, it's touching the bottom. It's not floating. I need to be up here. So that tab at the top there is kind of too high. It sticks out the top. Maybe I can still use the part. It needs to be up about here. Maybe we can just lob the top off. What if the actual phone fits? There you go. Easy to grab off. Now I could always reprint this with a smaller hole for the charging puck, but it's actually 6.5 mil smaller. So if I make it 3.25, like a little ring in here, and print it off, maybe I can kind of save this part. I could just reprint it, but maybe, yeah, the ring will help, and maybe it'll be a little accent. I'm going to use this orange here to kind of contrast it and try and turn it into a feature. I need to unload the 3D printer. If you've never really used one, they're pretty easy. You kind of heat the nozzle up, pull the old stuff out, grab the new color, and kind of just feed it through here. Eventually the old color comes out the bottom there and the new color starts feeding through. And you're left with this lump of plastic you don't really need. And you're like, where's my bin? I'm going to put it in the bin. You throw it in the bin and then it just ends up on the floor. So much of it ends up on the floor. If you're wondering why I have these with little numbers of masking tape written on them, the 4 here, these 4 are all 4.4 millimeters. These 2 are 6. The one with the H here is a hardened nozzle, so I can print things like carbon fiber without ricking the nozzle. So this is printing the first layer. 3D printing is slower than I imagined when I first got it. It takes forever, but the cool thing is you can do something else. And while it's going, it's busy doing this in fast forward mode. And look at that. We've got like a little puck adapter, making up words. There we go. Will you go in here? Will you go in? Oh please, oh please, oh please, oh please, oh please, oh please. Not quite. All right, so we can kind of give it some love. Should have made it a... Oh, hang on. Oh. It's going. All right, it's in. Never to come out again. Where's that? Where's the thing? Oh, please, oh, please, oh, please. Oh, put it in upside down. All right. All right, this one's a press fit as well. It eventually kind of jams in there. The problem is it's a little bit domed compared to the last one, so it makes the foam push off just a tiny bit. But actually I'm okay with that because it kind of, yeah, it makes it a little bit easier to get out. And I'm going to pretend, again, this is a feature, not a bug. Now this is my scan and 3D model meets the real world. Does it kind of fit onto the back here? I want my screw holes down the side here. It's the only gap for them to go. And it does line up. Oh no, all the ports for the USB don't fit. But maybe if I just kind of like trim this edge off here and kind of trim it down here, nobody's gonna see it, right? Spent ages putting a logo on the back and then hacking up the back. That'll do. All right, time to hack the back part off. Let me use a multi-tool. It's this part of the video editing where I'm like, oh man, would you go get some gloves? I need gloves. Okay, mildly dangerous. Less dangerous. Phew. Not quite straight pay. Alright, I think this is gonna work. Again, I probably should just reprint the thing. That's the nice thing about 3D printing, but I'm not going to. I'm gonna carry on trying to make this thing that I could easily reprint right, make it work by butchering it. One thing that, forgot to cut the top off. I'll be right back. Another one of those times where does design meet reality? Looking at these screws here, they don't stick out very far. Can you see them there? Hope that this don't poke into anything, I don't know, electronic and dangerous or useful for the monitor's actual working. For Ziduk. Oh, Ziduk. You in there. That's nice. And then you like that. Ha! Kind of floats off the desk, which is kind of cool. Yeah, I think we might have done it. Typing, doing phone stuff, typey type. But does it still work? Did anybody else know that was going to happen? Actual real world sad face. You see here, the kettle plug, it's quite a big thing that powers the monitor. Look where it goes. It lands right against my little stand here. Ugh. But back to what we're doing. Does this thing actually still work? All right, no problem. We can just move it over a little bit. All right, so let's move it over. You tell me if it is right. How about that? Just in case you're wondering how I'm attaching these. All right, so hat hook. Got to hang up these guys. And I'll use this hook here, bolt here. This is an M6. And I'll put it through the steel leg down there. And now when I'm typing it into Fusion, I've got this little set. This is really cool. So I 3D printed it, but I didn't design it. What it does is you grab your size. Can you see the sizes down the side there? You see M6. I'm gonna grab my M6 and I'm gonna say, all right, this guy fits in there. And you can see all the dimensions that I need to type into Fusion 360 to get it to be flush fit, good push through, cap size, all that sort of good stuff. So I'm going to do that now in Fusion. Boop. All right, where do I want it? I either want it down kind of here or down over here. I'm not sure. Kind of like it like that. Something like this. Let's start Fusion 360. So I'm going to start with the hole first. It's going to be like a central hole. I'm going to pull the dimensions from that kind of kit that I printed. I didn't make that. That's Alex Chappelle. I'll leave a link to him in my notes. But yeah, kind of start from there. And then I was kind of building like an arc to hold the headphones, then a bit of the lips so they don't slide off. And I'm going to spend way too much time doing fonts. I do my font work in Adobe Illustrator. Fonts inside of, Fusion 360? It's not good. So I do my fonts in here in Illustrator, okay, because I have a lot more type control and they're just easier to manipulate. Then I'm going to go through and I'm going to find my gliss panel. I love finding a font that has all these extra like ligatures where the E here is good, but like, oh, look at that E, way better. Okay, and I just go through and just see what kinds of letters have different glyphs. And yeah, I don't know. I like spending some time in here, especially when it's a well-designed font with all these extras. And I'm going to go through, I'm going to export as an SVG and bring it into Fusion. I'm going to go through as well before that and just kind of add some, I don't know, features. I'm going to round some corners and stuff. That's what I'm going to do. Did forget to show here how I actually added the font, but it's pretty easy. Kind of like insert an SVG and kind of just extrude it. Here you go. That is going to be it. More cowbell. If you know, you know. The cool thing about this printer is it's multi-material, so I can put 2 colors in and it will print them together. Don't have to like paint it afterwards. All right. So this is the tower that it makes to get the different colors, and then this is this thing. It didn't come out great, but came out good enough, right? I mounted it here on the left. I wouldn't do it again. It's kind of too close to my legs and I do kind of nudge it every now and again. Don't knock it off, but yeah, I probably put it further away. I should have used the hole, the sad hole, but anyway, I want it all centralized. Also wondered if it was going to be too loose with just one single screw, but if you tighten it up enough, that's not going anywhere. Dang. Nice. Next is this thing. It's the little label here. It is bugging me. It's facing out. Bugs me the most about it is, see it here? See the FCC one? I'm digging. The CE European one? Why is the C so far away from the E? All right, let's try all the cleaners. We're going to start with brake clean. I don't have any brake clean left. There we go. That is empty. No brake clean. What about alcohol? Alcohol. No. Nothing. All right, now we've got acetone and white spirits. Let's go straight to the big guys. Nothing. I made it shiny, but it's still on there. God damn it. All right, what's next? What else have I got? I cover it with a sticker, or I'm gonna go for phase 1. See if I can sand it off. All right, so I worked my way through just a couple of different grits of sandpaper, and it's not perfect, but the markings are gone. Brute force. All right, the laptop still fits. And the headphones fit. All right, if you haven't before, I'm gonna pick colors for these legs. And if you haven't used the RAL color book before, they're really cool. They're similar to the Pantone color book, okay? People probably know the Pantone colors pretty well, right? That's for print, and this is for real life stuff. So now I've got to go spend ages deciding what colors are going to be in here. I do not know. Let's go to fast mode. What I'm trying to decide here is like, what am I going to paint the legs? Because there's raw steel at the moment. That could be cool, but they'll rust. So what color am I going to pick for the legs? All right. So I was going to go for like, I don't know, one of the ones was like beige. Such a terrible word. I think it's this one. It's kind of like a beige. And I got a few other ones, but then I'm thinking I'll try and match the accent of this. Then trying to pick a color that matches is quite, so many oranges. Do these kind of match? Which one is right? Can you see them? It doesn't look close on the camera. It looks closer in real life. bright red orange. Tangerine. Cool thing about RAL is that a lot of color sites use it as their kind of standardized color. So now I can go through, I want to use the RAL colors. I'm going to go through and find the corresponding number. This one's called 2008. I'm going to use a matte finish for this one. I'm using this 2K, which just means it's a color that you mix two parts together. It's got a hardener as well as the paint, so it makes it super strong. I'm going to pick 400 mils. It's going to be 36 euros, which is not cheap, but I get the exact color I want. I think I've got some primer downstairs. I'll go check. All right, I got a last minute kind of adaptation I want to do. I want to add some LEDs to the desk. These are some old ones I have. So there's a Ziploc bag here. Anybody else, this OCD, I kind of like zip tie it all together with the remote so I don't lose it. It's all tied together. Yeah, I wonder if they actually still work. Ready, steady, steady. They still work. These things are ancient. All right, so I've taken the fence down. So I think I'm going to run them. This is upside down now. I think I'm going to run them kind of like along there, all the way along. And I was trying to think of clever ways of doing it, but I think the stickiness is gone. I think if I got some special tape, I could stick it all the way along there and then run it along that one. And guess what? Do you want to see? I'm going to give you some tape. You want to see something weird? Let me show you. Oh, all right. This is the weird drawer. You ready for this? Don't judge me. I like tape for some reason. There you go. And what I want is some super sticky stuff, which is, that's up there. All right, that's the magical 3M stuff. All right. How sticky is this stuff? Alright, let's turn these off. Let's see what it looks like. Give it a mood. Shut the curtains. Not as exciting as I'd hoped. Okay, it looks more like... no, it's a bit uneven. It's a bit shit. Alright, the one thing I did forget was that there's a brightness mode, right? So I forgot about the brightness mode. Here we go, try this. Come on, brightness. Oh, that's up. Alright. That is better. Better. All the way, slowly down. What do you think? Alright, so I'm trying to find a place for remotes, right? Like, I've got these ones, this is for the lights, this one's for the air conditioning, and this one's now for the... Anyway, and what I was thinking is like, just having them under here, so I could like, pull them out and use them, and then how many of them are there, and what happens when I get a new remote. That's actually not that comfortable to get out. So, I was thinking, I've got these magnets. I thought if I stuck them to the backs of, say, the remotes, I could go bloop, bloop. Just glue them on like that and just stick it onto the metal legs. Either there or down there or maybe even up there. A little bit of super glue. Too much super glue. Oh Jesus. Sorry little guy. Tiniest little drop. Spray that and then... While I'm busy doing that, is everyone else going, what about the big blob on the table? Don't worry, I realize eventually. One. Crap. Alright, that kind of came off. You can kind of see the end of the pen there. There's little dots. I'm not sure if it's the glue or just a reaction between the top. Alright, so that cleaned up okay, but I'm going to do it on top of a, I don't know. I use paper towel anyway. While I'm here, I should clean up the really gross looking air conditioning remote. Why are these so big? And look at me, I'm an expert gluer. Look how crusty that is. Wonder how to get rid of that. I don't know what I do wrong, but anyway, super glue goop. One thing else as well is I'm evolving the color scheme. I've reprinted this kind of base in the orange color. So I'm going to remove the one that's at the back there and just put in a new one. Wonder if the screw holes have gotten any straighter. Nope, all still crooked. All right, now I got to make a little piece that covers this bit of shame. Remember the sign didn't cover the whole desk, so I'll make something temporary for now. I'm going to make just like a little plate here in Fusion 360. I'll make something nicer, some sort of pen holder thing later on. But at the moment, just got to get it done. It needs to kind of overlap a little bit so it hides the join. I'll add some text to it as well. It's a pretty big part as well, so I'm going to have to chop it into a couple of bits and glue it together afterwards. My printer's big, but not that big. All right, so we got some glue. It never comes open. Oh. Be right back. All right, the glue opening tools. I think I use these more for opening glue than I actually use them for plumbing. I like to glue the lid on every time I use it. Okay, my bright idea here, put lots of super glue underneath. To get it all the way underneath because it didn't square very far. Use a fan. It gets it underneath, but also got it all over the top and just about everywhere. Good work, Dan. Oops. More glue everywhere. Excellent, Dan. Will it get rid of the glue? Now, find things around the workshop that are very heavy. The heaviest thing I could find to hold this down turns out is a clutch. They're super heavy. Anyway, that's heavy. Then wander around the house and the garage trying to find the heaviest things I have. And does everybody have these? Home weights that are never actually used for weightlifting, mainly to hold things down. All right, and now the welding table. It gets very seldom used for welding, but it's really flat and rigid, so I can use a promoter and a little bit more super glue to get this thing kind of lined up nicely. Super glue a little bit of the promoter to the other side. I think this is how it's meant to be used. And then click, hold, and hold. Kind of glues in a second or two, so you got to be quite quick and careful. Quick, hold, push. All right, worked. Suck together, and it lines up. Good enough. I have to trim around the little bolt holes here, so this is another Dan misusing a tool. Luckily, this is going to be hidden. Watch this. I don't know why I bother using a tool. I think I could have used a hammer and got a better result. Anyway. Now I got to stick it down, and I am a bit gun shy with the old super glue. Can't cover myself or the table in anymore. So I'm going to use this. It's a double-sided tape. It's like a woodworker's double-sided tape. It's pretty strong, and there's not a lot of force on it. So hopefully this will hold it down. Hopefully I can. Doesn't need a whole lot to stay there, does it? It's kind of more just sheen covering. Right, the other thing I forgot to do was like recess these ones like I did these guys. So they said proud. But anyway, it looks kind of cool. Sits over the edge a little bit. All right, so now I need a footrest. The cool thing about the 3D printing world, this is printables.com, somebody else has made a footrest. And I can go through and just kind of like have a look at the different types, which ones I like, will go with my design, and then just print it off and pretend it was mine. Now printing this off, I'm laying it out on my printer here. It's going to take 17 hours to print, which always feels longer than it needs to or should do. 3D printing takes ages, and it's going to cost about $22 US to print. So it's not cheap, but it's fully customizable and it will be here in the morning. And I don't count power. Turns out it's free if you're just paying for a generic power bill. And you wake up in the morning and look, you've got a footrest. All right, so here's all the bits. Can you see here? The designer's put in a square for... I'm easily impressed. Captive nuts. I like it. Built into the 3D part. Grab that. Wash it. These adjustable pegs here, I put a brim around them so they stick to the build plate. Then I slice them off dangerously. Never cut towards yourself, folks. Ew. Start with the medium. Nice. Now I got to find a scrap of wood that I can use for the kind of base of it. This here is my stand-up scrap wood pile, and this was an idea from my dad to kind of stack them up vertically. I had them lying around everywhere. This is a genius idea. Grab that. Say hello to the camera, it's on. Look at him, mate. Show him the camera. Look here. Just come around and you can show him. Homesick. And scared to be on camera? Normally you like being on camera, don't you? Well, you should still fit in.
What?
Ah!
I can't even hear myself talk.
Looking for 30 mils.
30 mils. Pretty much. Let's see.
30 or 25. It's 25. I do like using tape just to kind of mark holes and things, poke them where they should be, and then I can pull the tape off and mark it on the actual bit of wood, then cut it. Maybe yesterday how my son was sick. I'm sick now. Speaking of the bed himself.
Now the cool thing about this design is that it has a couple of different holes you can stick these little pigs into, lower them down, and it kind of changes the angle. I do like it. Now I'm going to put something over the top of this, so I'm going to pull the screws out and just give them a little countersink so that they sit just below the surface so that I can stick something over the top. Not sure exactly what yet, but I want them recessed. And chamfers make me feel like I'm an actual woodworker. And because this footrest hasn't taken long enough to make, I'm going to router the edges, just give it a nice bevel on the edges to make it feel, I don't know, more special. And while I'm home working, so's my son. He's also sick still. And he's been using his times wisely. He's making counterfeit money. He's a resourceful little dude. And the more I route, the more blurry the camera gets. This is not how to treat basically $5,000 camera and lens. Just dust it off. Ooh, but look at the edges. I do like a crisp routed edge. And the whole time I'm routing, I didn't notice. Look, there's an engine all open sitting here. But don't worry, there's a blanket that covers it, sitting just there. Damn it. Do one thing at a time, Dan. A little bit late. Nighty-night. All right, the paint is turned up, so I'm going to take the legs off, except...
So with all that fighting, look what I did. I sheared the bolt completely off. That was hard to break, first of all. I don't know what I did. I've cross-threaded this thing somehow when I was putting it in. It ain't happy.
All right, taking these legs off is one of my more janky setups. Look at this, a couple of plastic sawhorses and a jack. It's a little bit wobbly. Hopefully, it'll only just hurt me, not kill me. All right, so there was 1, 2, 3 dodgy bolts. Turns out you can't just keep twisting them and pulling them through this. All right, so the pre-mixed paint is here. So remember, this stuff is two-part. So there's this bottom part that you pull that tab out and it mixes it with the paint and sets it off hardening. And before I paint though, it is freezing, so I'm going to heat it up. The paint and the legs, trying to get them to a nice temperature so it actually sticks. Set up my really janky paint booth, hanging these very heavy legs from very small chains from the garage rails. Even a little bit too sketchy for me. I'm going to switch these out for something a little bit more substantial. Use these straps. If you haven't used one of these cams before, it's got this, like, basically just a key ring on the bottom here. You pull it off and you feed it through the little eyelet on the bottom here. Once it's on, you pull it and twist it until it's fully open. Then you shake it like an idiot. So I ended up giving it 2 coats because that's all the can had in it. And if you look at this angle, it looks pretty good. The only problem is it makes all my welds look like giant snot boogers. But anyway, it went on and it definitely covered it all. The only problem is it also covered these. My poor old shoes. I didn't realize how good of overspray it would be. Look, I now have orange shoes. Whoops. All right, reassembly using dodgy jacks and stuff to make it work. And what you'll see is, look, you can still see the smiley man, the unsmiley man. It covered really well, it looked like in the garage, but up here in the office, it's super patchy. Buy 2 cans next time. If you stand back far enough, though, it looks fine. Now I've got to tackle those holes. You see the washer in there? It's domed in. It's because I cranked up the bolt so tight that it kind of forced it around. So I've got to try and get it out now and, yeah, not break bolts this time. So I'm going to use a drill to try and drill out the washers. Bingo. So we'll tidy up the holes again and put in some fresh bolts so I can attach the legs properly. All right, now it's time to pick a stain for the edge of the desk. It's quite prominent on the front, so I'm going to spend way too much time picking a color, but I'm going to use ancient colors from underneath the desk. So I got these two. There were samples for my front fence. One looks quite orange, and the other one's brown. So one of these two, I'm going to do some tests. And I also wanted to share with you an ancient tech tip about paint. Okay, so you can pour it from a can and not spill it everywhere. It was handed down from my father, I'm sure from his father to him. Write this down, people.
Yep, perfect.
Yeah, it went something like that. So it's times like this where I'm kind of testing stain colors for the edge of a desk, where I realize this is the reason why these projects take me 10 times longer than anybody else or a professional. But anyway, these are the three colors. The N one is just a clear stain that I found as well. And let's go check it next to the desk. There you go. So, I don't know. I think the dark one, right? The dark one matches the backboard the best. So that's the one I'm going to use. Oh, and you wanted some paintbrushing ASMR? You didn't? Okay, let's speed this up. All right, while we're at it, we might as well do the footrest as well for the exposed NDF, just so that it doesn't soak in. Nobody's going to see it, but I don't want foot juice soaking into the edges.
All right, and the absolute best part of putting tape on is pulling tape off. Especially when the tape is held down. Oh, look at that.
Now to continue the overthinking of the footrest, I need like a grip on top of it. So I'm going to not just paint, and I'm going to make a kind of a 3D grip thing. Form meets foot function. Trying to be clever. But yeah, just 3D printing it so it's raised, so I've got something for my feet to grip on. I printed this big flat bit on my Prusa XL, and look how good it prints just straight off the printer. Anybody have a 3D printer from like 5 years ago, even longer? There was no way of printing a big solid flat piece and it'd have come out nice. So I'm using some contact glue, put the two pieces on, and then I'm going to just weigh it down and wait. All right, now I need a mouse pad. And everything is custom on this desk. Why not the mouse pad? I've gone through the student submissions on my Illustrator Essentials course. Link for that in the description. But these are some of the projects people have made in their kind of like first projects. And I just love them. They're simple, they're colorful, and they're awesome. So I'm going to turn them into a mouse pad. I'm using this site here. It's called Vistaprint. You upload your design. I want 2 of them. Give them 18 euros. Wait 1 week, and you got your own custom mouse pad.
All right, I think it might be time to actually get this thing together. I am super duper excited. So let's go into speed mode and let's start finally clearing up all this junk. Look, it's junk there, junk everywhere.
Now, one of the best things for kind of tidying up an area is this thing I got from IKEA. It's just like a thing you screw to the underneath of your desk, and it just holds all of the battery packs and kind of cables up underneath, making it nice and tidy. And the other great thing about it is because it's underneath the desk, and when you screw the screw in the wrong part and you have to kind of twist it a little bit so it's crooked so that it actually lines up and screws in, you're fine.
Why is it handy? People are not going to be surprised that you can stick stuff in it and keep it off your desk.
A quick interlude. What are these from? I found them at the end of putting stuff together, and I'm like, what did these come out of? I have no idea. You've been watching the video, do you know? They seem important. All right, never mind. All right, time for a keyboard upgrade. I've got this new one from Keychron here. It is basically exactly the same as this one, but this one is wireless. The other one's wired, and I drill a hole in my last desk to hide the wire. I'm just gonna remove it all by using this wireless one. The trouble though, is the buttons. Listen. Yeah, I like the old buttons on the old one and not the new ones. But luckily, these keys are what they call hot swappable. So you can buy different keys and change them. That's what I did to this original board. So I'm now going to pull all of the keys, every single one of them, off this new one and the old one, and switch them around. This is going to be a fun montage. Dan makes the best videos. I'll leave a link to the keyboard there, and if you're really keen, let me know in the comments and I'll figure out what buttons I have that make the nice The blue ones anyway. One thing that happens though is when you've done so many of them, see these like little prongs at the bottom, you end up bending a few of them over, so a few buttons don't work. Gross fingers and thumbs, Dan. One down, 1,000 to go, but is it worth it? Can you hear the difference? I can. Is it worth it? Probably not. I'm gonna do it anyway.
It's occupying a space. The heck does that one do?
It's pretty entertaining watching this in fast mode, but to be honest, I like these menial jobs. Too much of my life is thinky stuff and computer stuff. I like using my hands, though your hands do get sore after a little while. One little hack I'll share with you is this mouse here has 3 devices it can connect to. So I can use my mouse and my keyboard to connect to my phone. So I can actually do some phone stuff with my keyboard and mouse. That becomes handy when you're kind of doing social media stuff. I don't know, really like it. It's a little hack for you. And after that, only one of the buttons not working. Really important one, the spacebar. Even the little card says, look, don't bend them over. But it's hard not to. You can see here, this one's pretty squished or flat, but it's pretty easy. You just grab some pliers and they're pretty forgiving. You just jam it back in. Golden. This keyboard also has this feature where you can make it do colorful stuff, but only if it's really dark. It doesn't really work in broad daylight and drains the battery, so I just turn the flashy lights off. The next thing to tackle that nobody will notice and I shouldn't care about but do is these. These bolts here just have tape on them and they can totally live with tape on them, but I'm going to spend way too much time building little rubbery feet on them. Cool thing about Fusion 360, the free version, is that it has these bolts built into it, so I can just throw in the right size bolt and then build a little cap for it. Make sure it's got a chamfer. Now I'm going to print it in this stuff. It's called TPU. It is like a rubberized type 3D filament. And this one is a Shore rating of, I think it's Shore A40. So it's super rubbery. And when you start printing it and you realize, the handy bolt from Fusion is the wrong size. Let's do that again. That seems more the right size. Let's give it a go. Squeezy. And it fits inside my bolts. It's out of focus, but it's in. Ta-da! Next up, these speakers. I want them kind of facing up a little bit and a little stand and some sort of cable management. So I'm going to use my handy dandy welding spacer pack that never ever gets used for welding. That looks about right. 50 millimeters. Perfect. Quick little drawing of what I need it to kind of look like, and then a little bit of modeling in Fusion 360. Now I'm gonna make a little zip tie thing on the back here just so that I can hold the cables. Looking at it though, god damn it, it's the wrong way around. Zip tie goes that way, seems logical, never mind. Better, much better. Flash it up a little bit with some fillets and let's reprint it. All right, let's test this bad boy, see how it works. And it fits. Kind of. If you ignore the big lip at the front. But don't worry, guess what? The lip can be fixed by one exact pen width poking out, like the overhang. So, just gonna model up a really quick cuboid, rectangle, block thing. It's another one of those times where you're like, why don't you just cut up an old pen, stick anything behind there rather than model, print and glue a spacer? Questions. But it works. There you go. Pokes off the front the right amount. and I printed another one that I had it included in the print so I don't have to glue it afterwards. You know the little extension bit I put in? I'm going to pretend it's a design feature because look, it kind of allows a bit of a standoff between the zip tie and the wire, so I can kind of wrap it down and around. So now, my friends, that is a design feature, not a flaw. Oh, I do like it. Put some heat shrink around that, but I think we've got it. Ta-da! Now it's got to do his buddy. His buddy? Actually, he's kind of scratchy on the table, so we need some feet on him. Let's put some feet on him. Next, we need to address the laptop. It kind of falls out over this side, so I need a support so it doesn't fall backwards and out of the slot. Alright, a couple of nice holes, and then a couple of bloody wonky ones. I'm going to hide the wonky hole and just use one of them using this 3D print. Send it to the 3D printer and... oh, nice fit. And nobody will notice that there is 2 holes at the bottom, just the one.
Dad,
What?
I know how to wheel it now.
Oh,
Can I please show you?
yeah. And that completes the don't fall off the laptop stand. Should have designed it better, didn't really think it through stand. Anyway, do another screw hole. Better. There, can you see it? There's a little gap there. So I'll get a bit of stuff to fix that. Where I feel like you should say that ain't going anywhere. Alright, this next thing is a USB switcher. My camera that I use can be switched between like being a camera and offloading all the files off the USB stick on the camera. You just got to toggle it. So I want to set this up so I can toggle between them. So this is the button that toggles it, and I want to mount it up under here somewhere so I can push the button and it switches between them. So we need a 3D printed bracket, my favorite, easy thing to make. Let me show you what I made. It's super simple, just a couple little boops and boop, 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 and then some fillets. Let's get them going, it's only going to take 15 minutes. All right, it's done. Oh, spots even stayed there, good work. So we have a little piece. All right, does it fit? All right, fits. Oh, let's see if it fits. Let's see if it fits. Like a ninja. Oh.
Kind of satisfying.
And this also isn't going anywhere. And unlike most of the rest of this,
Awesome.
if it does go somewhere, it's not going to crush my legs.
Oh, so nice. Typing using mouse, and then switch the camera. Camera being a camera. Alright, so next up are these guys. That's these guys. It's got USB-A and USB-C.
Now I'm going to spend way too long replacing these screws that it came with them. Look at those thoughtless Phillips screws. I'm going to either pick one of these two cap screws. What do you think? Do you prefer the Phillips or the cap screw? Black, silver? Ooh.
And ta-da! I've got kind of an out front temporary. Oh, USB drive. Just a little bit crooked.
Now we need some plants, so I'm going to repot this thing. Man, it needs a repot. Get it into a bigger pot. And instead of buying a pot, I'm going to 3D print one. I found this. This is on printables, and I'm just going to make it a little bit bigger. It's really easy in 3D printing. Just kind of scale it up to fit the pot that's going to go in. And 3 hours later, during the night, it printed.
All right, you want to see something funny? You know, I was like, oh yeah, just make it bigger. It's really easy in 3D printing. Look at this. It doesn't fit in. Damn it. You can see I made the outside of this the right size, but there's these like little inner bits, which collide with this. All right, plant. Aha! Or to save yourself a lot of time and hassle, just go to IKEA, buy a fake plant, and stick it in an IKEA pot that fits. Does everybody have this plant? All right, and last but not least is cable routing. It's kind of detracting from all of this. There's just junk everywhere. It's make this mess be not messy.
So I like this stuff. It is like a braided cable with a slot on one side, so you can kind of feed wires through. I've got this like little special tool you can kind of use to drag it through. You can just poke it through with your fingers, but I like this, watch. Now I want to try and hide all of the plugs. I'm going to use this multi-plug and screw it to the underneath of the table, hide them all away. To get it right, I use a bit of tape to kind of mark out the mounting holes and then transfer it under the desk.
Something kind of like that. Dust in my mouth.
There you go, securely on under the desk and only a mild fire hazard.
All right, it's time to get rid of super old skanky Mousepad. Ugh. And the one that turned up in the mail slightly wet.
Remember the design we did earlier? They're now mouse pads. I now have two, because this one will get skanky as well. Look how cool it is.
That is so cool.
And my friends, we are done. A quick clean up from my attack vacuum cleaner.
You're attacking me.
We have, ta-da, the ultimate designer desk, or the ultimate designer desk for me anyway. And if you avoid all the sad face smiley faces, it's perfect. If you squint, it's mint. Who else has a side holstered laptop? Now, if you've made it this far, let me know in the comments, A, that you made it this far, but B, what do you think of the format? It's not normally what I do. I'm not very good at it, but I did enjoy capturing everything and kind of reliving it as I was editing it. But it's a weird format for the channel, so let me know. I do like making stuff and normally I just hide it away. But yeah, here's the thing I made. All right, I'll wrap up and stop talking even, and you enjoy watching the thing that we made.